Hello folks, Bobru here, another modern match. That's the last tape from the first big session I did with a friend of mine, and there are like a few left over from the second big session with another teammate. So yeah, there'll be enough modern for you to, have a good idea about what to do and what to pick before Grand Prix Copenhagen if you haven't decided up yet, because things are not gonna change all that much. So if you have solid deck choice already, I don't think you should change it by now because it's about the test dates and so on. So yeah, wish me luck at the Copenhagen Grand Prix and at the Grand Prix Amsterdam as well. A week after that, because well, if I'm gonna be able to cash in at one of those, then I'll probably think about investing into a proper mic, proper camera, and so on and so forth. So you'll be able to see everything better and hear me better, and then I'll be more inclined to stream more regularly, Magic and other games as well. So yeah, here we're preparing a matchup between GriselHoalBrand or your Grixis Reanimator. Some people are fine just playing straight background version of it. And on the right side of the screen that'll be Eldrazi Tron. Basically, for a couple of us, for me and my teammate, so there should be something ridiculous happening, so that I switch from Eldrazi Tron to something else, and then a friend of mine has been playing extensively and testing extensively with Death Shadows John, and with the light white splash for the sideboard. Yeah, so there has to be like something extremely crazy to happen. Well, I'm basically making some slight adjustments to the Eldrazi Tron deck. Friend here just, solitaring out his Grixis. Yeah, I think somewhere in between there I made a remark that, well, if you're just like a Zodak or something, um, you're much less inclined to solitaire out your deck to see how your draws and turns are gonna go. But if you have like a weird combo deck, then yeah, it's kind of like relaxing, like a therapy basically. Yeah. Um, Even though you're watching basically past tests with the decks, but yeah, let's just say that Eldrazi's just have their moments of weakness and have not really amazing matchups for sure, but they're just solid versus everything. So you have to get like really unlucky to not have a chance to win like any game. Because with modern, some of the game ones are really uninteractive and unexciting. That's for sure. But you have pretty much all the answers out of the sideboard. But yeah, you have to hit them, and sometimes some people with their cyber configurations make kind of like some mistakes by not running some of the cards that just basically fix some of the matchups for the Tron deck. For example, you pretty much have to run Surgical, I think, even in wide Grand Prix fields. Of course, like at your local game store, then like, you probably don't need to bother if you don't see certain matchups, particularly some combo matchups. But the point is that you're probably gonna face, in the long run, some of the big mana decks, some Tron, some Valakut, some Scapeshift, yes. Then what? Um, Things like that. So Ghost Quarter into Surgical Extraction is a good thing to have available against a lot of decks. I don't think you do this in the mirror. I don't think you do this in the mirror. You can try to do that, plus the Crucible, but it's a beat down matchup. I mean, the mirror, even after sideboard. I don't think trying to slow down your opponent is a great idea unless it's something natural. Because with Ghost Quarters, they're just there. If you have spare mana, why not? Or if you really need to speed dump your opponent to take them off Tron, then yeah. But it doesn't really cost you a card in the hand, sort of. Like, it costs you a land, but let's just say that early on it gives you mana, and then you can cash it in later. So yeah, it's not a huge cost, and you can control it. Things like that. Yeah, so there's a lot of graveyard hate, um, but not much main deck. So this is why the Reanimator is actually, I think, more or less well positioned right now. It doesn't like fast Chalice, but Chalice in 1 actually doesn't fizzle the deck. Chalice in 2 is quite annoying. But then again, you could have Is it Charm up? So one of the biggest reasons to actually have the blue splash. Also, you get this arcane tutor thing going on to find whatever you want at any point in the game. It also makes your sideboard very flexible and so on. So really love the deck. And yeah, not only you have some tricks after sideboards against their heat, and then Charm actually is like multi-purpose, kills like a Talia, for example, and also can counter a Chalice or some Cager like Relic, for example. And then you have Further Breach, and you have 2 main deck, so that's amazing, and you can tutor for it. Um, so that's really huge, and the tutor costs free. So yeah, pretty resilient deck. And random decks like this is probably one of the reasons why I think Pythonito actually um, deserves a sideboard slot in Eldrazi Tron. Because you just named GriselHoalBrand or Barbarigmas, and you're kind of safe. Of course, then you can randomly die to a Whirl Spineworm. But that's not crazy. Uh, my star was actually okay. Oh yeah, Ivogin here is a proxy of the Eldrazi Temple, for those wondering. I should have said it early on, but I hope I distracted you a little bit so that you didn't cry out loud in front of the monitor, like, what the hell is this banned card and so on. Yeah, so technically I have 4 mana. Wish I had a Fortnuts here and here, obviously. He had enough time to, try to sculpt his turns, I would call it this way. Basically, if I put him really low, that could be a thing. Basically, 7 or less life left is kind of where you want to be. Well, 8 sometimes, because then he might not be able to fetch. But I don't have much pressure going on. Something like a Smasher next turn could actually do things, but you see him like just exiling Summon Spear Guide right away, which is kind of weird for me. Like, really weird for me. Anyways, Gray's Vengeance. So yeah, GriselHoalBrand incoming. I don't remember which turn is that. Probably his turn 3? I think that's his turn 3 or something like that. Or turn 4? Not sure. Anyway, my kind of like turn 3. Yep. Luckily, Reanimator can lose to itself in terms of draws, and it's very straightforward, so it's possible to hate it out like pretty harshly. And then actually it doesn't have an amazing Death Shadow matchup, so that's what's keeping it from rampaging. Ravaging. Yeah, he draws a 7, I guess. 1 red and pull from guy, so he has 2 red now in pull. Here's what? Oh yeah, green shawl for World Spine, and he uses the 2 mana in pull to splice in the ritual, so this way he gets an extra mana without spending the ritual right away. So he's up to 19 because of the shawl. Draws 7 more. Yeah, if he finds another shawl with the worm, then he's pretty much off. Yeah, like he can you know, afford to draw more cards. Got on a 5. It's not like will have like double bolt in response or something like that. Yeah. Um, it's really sad that the so-called Eldrazi Tron, the Warping Whale, counters on his sorceries, which is still sort of like, that still sort of does something, like countering the looting, for example, maybe. But like pretty much everything Reanimator has that matters is an instance, so yeah, it's really annoying. Well, this spell would be like pretty damn good against this deck. Okay, he's at 5, but he has a Borbo in the bin, so no second vengeance, bringing it back. And I'm at 20, but he just needs to throw 7 lands at me with the ability. And here they are. And yeah, plus the attacks as well, so yeah, I didn't have any blockers either. So that's kind of like an overkill, but yeah, this is what the deck does. And sometimes it doesn't get there. But yeah. Maybe should have mulled this hand, but with the Eldrazi Tron, you never know. Plus, even with like amazing hands, you're probably gonna lose game 1. Yeah. And because unlike with Dredge, which is really slow when it's forced to play fair, Through the Bridge is just ridiculous. For the dynamic post board against most decks, Tron included, of course. And yeah, of course, Surgically is amazing in this matchup as well, for obvious reasons. I think we're shuffling up for another main deck game. Because we're testing, so we're not really constricted by the best of 3 format. And yeah, sometimes in this playtest versus matches, if game 1 was just, really uninteractive, really unexciting. In this case, we weren't flooded or screwed, but it was kind of like one-sided, really. So, decided to have another go before siding. Plus, it was a pretty damn fast game, so it's not like it's been many turns before he finally got there. He went all in, but I think at that point there was a pretty high chance of him like finding the stuff he needs. Okay, I caught a glimpse of Further Bleach in his hand here. That's amazing. I mean, I don't have Graveyard Hate main deck, but Further Breach requires way less setup. And yeah, even if he, well, maybe if he got the looting or charm, maybe he wants to not just, give me too much time and load away for the breach or something, but I don't think that's the best idea ever. Alright, so I'll have a Tron turn 3, because of the 2 parts plus the map. But that might still not be good enough if he actually draws what he needs. Here's a Metamorphose. I'm not sure why he does that, just to pro draw maybe? It's kinda weird, why he fires it off like that. Oh no, oh no, that's actually, no, that's actually, he did that on his turn. Pardon me, I guess I, missed his draw step. I mean, missed seeing it. Uh, off of, okay, he didn't actually have black, so he was forced to actually use the Morphos here. He cast a Brutality to with Escalate. Looking at my hand and drain for 2. He gets rid of a Dismember, which doesn't really do much here. But yeah, basically he just needed a way to pitch the GriselHoalBrand. Everything else he did this turn actually is not really impactful. So that was just a discard fodder. Well, not fodder, but enabler. Whatevs. Yeah, I'll have the Tron, but the point is that, well, I know he took Dismember because I guess he figured that all his is just too slow, and because of sorcery speed, and he kind of operates on the instant speed in a way, or rather just cares about instant interactions. So yeah, I guess that's why he kept the all his dust in my hand. I mean, I was like supposed to keep this hand because, like, come on, just fast beats and stuff, and fast Tron. I mean, fast beats because of fast Tron. With the leftover mana off of after the Smasher laid down another map, so I can really go big here. But it's just I don't have the luxury of having that much time. That's the point. That is the point. Has the sheep here, or reef. I guess it's called reef. The blue-black storage land. Yeah. Guess the arcane tutor. He can just get a further breach or vengeance here. Gets the vengeance, but as I told you, he does have further breach in his hand as well. But yeah, maybe he doesn't have a 4th land in hand. I don't know. If he did have a 4th land and the further breach, maybe you can just tutor up the ritual so that you can go turn 4 breach into a fatty. But on the other hand, he has GriselHoalBrand in the grave, so yeah, he maybe doesn't have a the creature in his hand there. Okay, crack the map. There's 1 leftover mana. No, there isn't. Sorry. I'm just thinking whether I want to just take a Ghost Quarter here. And I don't know what's my plan here. I guess my thought process was that I don't have enough mana to cast my stuff. Well, he has nothing on board for All His Dust, and I'm not even sure All His Dust actually helps in this matchup. I think it's just too slow, and it's sorcery anyway. So my thought process is that if I kill the Riff, then maybe I cut him off black mana for the Vengeance. If he does have a basic swamp in his deck, which most likely he does, I'm not really changing things much here. because he can, with an untap, well, with a fourth land, he can put a storage counter on the reef and then still get the black mana for the vengeance. But that was probably a bad play, I think, because well, he actually needed to have that extra land to use the reef. Now I just gave him like black mana. He can try to do something else. But I didn't actually just have a better play this turn. So yeah, I cast the second smash, put him down to 7. So now he actually needs to find the shoal to actually try to go off with the vengeance. And then this quarter makes the other quarters better, but then again, he probably does have a basic island as well. So yeah, I don't know. Probably should have got just a Tron piece or something. Okay, he does cast a Vengeance. Does get to GriselHoalBrand. Well, he can attack and gain 7. Go up to 14, then go back to 7 by drawing 7 more. But he actually just naturally has it. Gains 11 by shoaling out the worm. Goes down to 11 after the draw from the demon. Yeah, at this point it's kind of like technical. Down to 4. Gets another 7. And this is what? No, that's turn... Yeah, that's turn 4. But still, yeah. Not a great matchup, especially game 1. Game 2, there could be, you know, some things going on. But then again, he still like has the Through the Breach, and then he can tutor out a bounce spell, basically. So, yeah. Cast Looting off of the guides, pitches Brandon, another... Brandon Borbo, gets back Borbo, just attacking with those two, that's already like 13 or something damage. So then he just needs to throw like 2 lands at me with the ability. Yeah, well, he also gets to loot for a land from, I think, 3 or 4 cards. Yeah, it looks at 3 cards, and yeah. Very technical, very technical. So now moving to post-sideboard games. That playtest session I still had a Cavern as a singleton for the map in my deck. But yeah, right now I've cut it because, well, an extra LD land is actually better. Not sure what's better. So some people are happy with 3 quarters and 2 edges, and then because Crucible 1 or 2 in the side. That I kind of feel like in the matchups where you just want it, for sure, quarter is kind of better because, well, it knocks away a fast Tron, and that buys you enough time. But then again, you do need that mana. It's not like you're gonna get the Tron all the time as well. Yeah, he's just laying out his side, but he can do a lot of things. I'm definitely bringing in the 2 relics, Cage and a Needle. I actually think that that playtest session, because I had my deck configured for an FNM, so I didn't actually have Surgicals in my sideboard. So something that is really essential for matchups like this. So he has a bunch of things in the side, so he's thinking about Swan Song, because, for example, if he starts, well, he's gonna start games he lose, and then again, if I don't hit in my starting hand, one mana hate, and that's okay. So I feel like bringing extra bridge is good because I don't really have hate for the bridge. Cage doesn't actually work against that. I don't mind the Fotzes. I don't mind the Eye of Nowhere because that's something for him to find, with the tutor and then bounce like a relic or something before, going off. I'm not like super fast all the time, so yeah, he might have time to do that instead of going for the breach. Plus, well, just bouncing something just to stem the bling is pretty cool. Uh, I think I talked him into bringing in a call against commands just to destroy like all the hate plus the chalice as well, for example, and then engineer the explosive for pretty much similar reasons. Yeah, because it's among other things that destroys the chalice, which could be tricky. Chosen one is not that bad for the reanimator. Um, yeah, so taking out main deck's call and dismembers because they just don't do anything. Color actually might not be the worst card. Basilisk Color. I had like 1-1 splits that day. Basically, there is a chance that if Reanimator just doesn't find all the pieces quickly enough, then Color might actually go the distance and put you out of range. For that to happen, you have to go probably something like 50 plus life or something like that, or at least like 40 plus. Yeah. Then I don't like Wretched Bomb. I don't think I had it main that day. I don't think so, because now I actually have like two of them main over Mindstones, just to have like more stuff for game ones. It does come at a cost. Um, I think I definitely should have brought them in. Now I hope I'm doing that here. No. The point about Wretched Bomb that a lot of people wouldn't actually realize in this matchup is that when you have some hate out, the Reanimator deck can still win just by throwing with a Fruit Breach Wellspring Worm. So for 15, that's not a kill necessarily, so it would put me down to 5. But then the worm will leave back 3 5 token worms, and Russian Bomb takes care of that. Yeah, that's pretty important. I would set in like at least 2 bombs. Basically, if you slow down the Reanimator deck at least a little bit, you'll find something to win. It's not like your Red-Green Tron, which is kind of light on interaction. All this does makes you sacrifice stuff, but Karn is actually pretty good here. All of the modes are good. Well, I mean, the first 2 abilities are definitely good. You can nuke a land so that they might be short for the breach, for example. You can go for their hand and try to stream them off the resources if you feel like they're in the top deck mode, and basically they would need more than just 1 card to win, because this is not like a 1 card combo deck, unlike Scapeshift or something like that. Otherwise, you probably go for the lands at first, at least. I would say, yeah, and there unlikely be a turn when Karn actually exiles a non-land in play, but it's still good, especially if you hit a fast Tron. But yeah, basically in this matchup, Eldrazi Tron needs like everything to lock down the Reanimator. Yeah, here's a turn 1 Needle on GriselHoalBrand. Because without drawing a bunch of cards, he can't really combo off with the Borborygmas. Enraged. Tron piece number 2 plus a relic with a mana up for sacrifice if needed. To exile the graveyards. Fetch Water Griffin the turn. Yeah, GriselHoalBrand is still like a very important and powerful deck in the format. A lot of people don't play it because, well, they might just have safer options. Yeah, but Graveyard Hate, even though it is present, and I wouldn't say it's like on the decline or anything, but there is certainly less of it than when Dredge was really powerful with the troll and stuff, and was able to dredge 6 with a single card. Now it's still a deck, but yeah, it's not like that insane. But because there is Abs and Company, Storm, Dredge, things like that, you'd still face a good deal of graveyard hate. But you do have a backup plan, and you do have ways to, bounce off the relics and so on, or destroy them. Don't have much going on, don't have the Tron just yet. Not willing to, eat the relic just yet to try to find it. Here's a Collective Brutality to get, just to get rid of the Ballista, which is kind of funny. Yeah, I should have used up the relic to, exile his stuff. To keep on exiling his stuff. I didn't tap it at end of his turn. Well, yeah, we're fixing that now. I shouldn't make such small mistakes. I mean, such easy small mistakes. You know what I mean. So my options are not amazing here. I think I have a temple in hand, so can power out something like a Smasher, but this will make me tap out, which is not cool. Yeah, I better just to be on the safer side and keep one up for the relic. And keep one up for the relic. Right. That leaves me off with a very small amount of mana. And if he goes for something like Looting into Vengeance, so that doesn't work out great for me. If I tap out, so yeah. I think it's worth it just to be on the safe side. But I wouldn't blame anybody for trying to, close out the game before it gets out of hand, because you know that his deck has a backup that plays around pretty much most of the hate, if not like all of it. But that stuff doesn't mean he will win right away, because it's expensive. So if I've managed to power it out, well, now I can afford to, hope that I can just attack 4 times with a Smasher and that's it. So starting that off. There's also a Needle on GriselHoalBrand, so he won't be able to really win that way. But yeah, the Worm can still maybe be enough if he breaches that. Okay, he's actually gonna go for a Ritual here in the attack step, and plus the Spirit Guide. So yeah, he's up to 5 mana, and here's the Breach, and here's the Worm. It's gonna eat the Smasher, and to leave 3/5/5 tokens behind. Yeah, and this is a situation where I wish I would have boarded in the Ratchet Bombs to, clean up the tokens. So yeah, easy sideboard mistake to do in this matchup, just because you don't know like what outs that I has when playing around hate and so on. Just like how he can win, like if you feel like he's locked down, but not really. So he saved himself like 5 points of damage. That might be important for a future GriselHoalBrand and for any of the bits that I might try to provide. The worm shuffles in, so yeah, there's an argument for just cashing in the relic here. There is an argument for that. Should try to draw into something. Next turn he pushes me down to 5, so yeah, this is problematic. So I think I took out all this dust. There might be still Karn or Ugin there. Actually, for because of the tokens, nah, no, Karn is good. Not because it exiles stuff on boards. I mean, creatures. It goes for their hand or for their lands. Ugin is much worse because, well, it deals with anything on board, but you're not gonna catch that moment. And bomb is just much faster than Ugin to deal with the tokens. You'd rather have that. Ugin is just too slow. I mean, it would still be fine here, obviously. It would allow me to survive. So I'm cashing in the relic at the end of his turn. After the attacks. Really need a lot of help here. Don't even have the Tron. Have 2 copies of 2 parts and a temple. Yeah, that's pretty sad. So I have a chalice in hand, but like, well, doesn't really do anything right now. And a bunch of lands. Well, yeah, again, this that's just a proxy of the temple, which I later did get, and so on, so that I don't have to bother that kind of stuff. And there was a what, all this dust in somewhere in the top few cards. But yeah, I just mis-sideboarded. I don't think I misplayed this game. I feel like maybe I should have tried to, take a risk and try to start with the Smashers 1 turn earlier. But as we now know, it wouldn't have mattered in this game, but potentially would have mattered, I think. Yeah. Okay, that's kind of weird that I kept a worm coil in the deck. It just doesn't really do anything. Ballista is also not amazing in this matchup either, obviously. Yeah. So I'd have much more stuff to side in with my current sideboard for this matchup, unlike what I had that day. And this is why you probably shouldn't, waste your sideboard slots with too much crazy stuff. So I'm bringing in a Nogan, which I'm not actually supposed to have in the deck. That should be just another All-Is Dust in the sideboard. Ulamog is also too slow for this matchup. Just too slow, yeah. Color is actually much better than a lot of the cards. Yeah. I'll bring in Ulamog, just another way to deal with the tokens. But I think I should have just boarded in more bombs. That's it. Yeah. Yeah, we're arguing here now, like what does Ulamog do actually in this matchup? Or rather, what to what to take out or what to bring in. So one ballista is going for one bomb at least. Um, I guess the argument about Ogin is that it deals with the worm tokens, and then it also could be a good, decent win condition, but it's just so slow as a win con. I don't know. Pretty darn slow. Okay, we're not bringing in the Lamog. Instead of just swapping ballista for a bomb. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty safe to over sideboard, kind of, if even you can say that in this matchup, because, well, he does have different ways to win, but they're all they all need a decent amount of setup, and he's still like gonna be relatively low in win cons. So yeah, and I don't need much to actually just close out the games, because outside of anti-hate and stuff like that, it doesn't really have much of interaction. So it doesn't really have many ways to deal with the Smasher outside of casting through the breach for a big blocker or something. He could have sided in that arcane 3-mana Doomblade basically with Splice. Because I think that one just says non-black, which is fine. It's not like even that my threats are artifacts, well, unlike something like Ballista, for example. But Ballista is pretty slow for this matchup too, and it doesn't really, kill anything. It can be good just to close out the games, just as a like big blaze sort of thing, like a -sync just to shoot down an opponent. Maybe sometimes even low just enough so that GriselHoalBrand is kind of like awkward. But that's not gonna happen too often. So yeah. Maybe if you have a pretty good sideboard for decks like this, then you might even just keep like one ballista or something. Because it's not that important here. And yeah, I should mulligan way more often with this deck than I do, and especially in this matchup where, well, there has to be a lot of stuff going right and draws and a lot of stuff. So one cage rally is not enough. Coupled with a surgical, then that's kind of cute. Then you need to make sure that you either drew or potentially have a lot of outs in the deck against the worm tokens, because that's not something to sneeze at still, because he can power them out pretty quickly. If I don't draw any graveyard hits, then he can go like turn 2, attack with the worm for 15, and then get those 3 tokens basically at the end of his turn 2. Yeah. So this is why bomb is so crucial in this matchup. Bomb is just good. So imagine the face of your opponents when you cast it in game 1 against Death Shadow, for example, looking away some shadows or some goyfs. Because goyfs are not gonna be that much of a problem that quickly, but eventually they will. So plus you have main deck Karns and all this dust. But yeah, having something that's at a pretty small cost knocks away goyfs, that's pretty amazing. But yeah, you have to be careful with it, not to break your own chalice or something. It's holding off some battle rages of things. So, okay, here's the relic that I just cast turn 1 and then was kind of forced to cash it in. I'm not sure what happened. Maybe I just needed to draw the lands, and I kept it in the hopes of actually just drawing those lands in the draw steps. Here's just the what Mindstone turn 3, and that's it. That can't be right. That just can't be right. Yeah, turn 3, and I guess on the play, and what happened? So he also didn't draw like he broke on the second land on his turn too. It's kind of funny. Okay, here's the chalice for 2 turn what turn? Not even turn. Yeah, turn 4, I guess. Cause did I miss a land drop? I think I did. Okay, he's fetching at the end. Chalice for 2 cuts off a lot of stuff, including the rituals that he would need to power out for the bridge. To play around Graveyard Hate, which is now not present on board. Yeah, and basically running Mindstones in general in your 7-5, well, it's likely to be main deck. They're pretty crucial for executing quick chalice into, which is important, of course. And I'm not sure, there is a chance that I will just go back to Stone's main, because it's, as much as I do like the main, but they're such a huge deal to, be able to cast your stuff if you just don't hit Tron or Temples on time. Okay, he just shows me an engineered explosive into the camera for this post-match edit. How did I see his hand? With footnotes here, right? And that took the arcane tutor, because I didn't really care that much about his Is It Charm or brutality. His draw for the turn was the explosive, which he didn't cast, that I can take now, technically, and probably should, because that actually frees up the chalice. I mean, breaks the chalice to free up his 2-drops like Charm and Brutality. He does need the lands. He does need the lands, because well, his actually plan is probably to what, to further breach a worm or something. Yeah, he scoops it up because, well, he wouldn't have enough time because of the footnotes or beads. He'd need to find an answer for the chalice, and so on. Thank you guys, until the next time, goodbye, folks.